Good evening, one and all. Welcome along. We have made it. We are 2 days out from Christmas. And Lebarsky is celebrating for one reason and one reason only. Graham is in the house.
Yeah. We missed you, Gray. We missed
Isn't
you.
adulting just wonderful? I won't bore you.
Hey,
Yeah,
mate.
traffic.
Family comes first, as they say.
Just can't wait to see what Jerry Claus gets us on Thursday night.
Right. Although we missed Graham, right? We did miss Graham. I just want to say this. There is one group of people. We do miss them, but we haven't missed them because they have been here in force throughout the whole draft season. And that is the MVPs of the show, the Yukis. They are always in force. They've been especially good, I would say, this draft season.
Yeah, like Joe there, Lebarsky, DJ Dog, etc. Elizabeth, all the guys have been commenting on the show. So thank you guys once again.
The MVPs. That's why we do the fan rant shows.
Guys.
We've also picked up a lot of new viewers in the last 6 months, I would say, guys. Probably since the start of the season. And I mean, look at this. Like, Lebarsky is actually on time for a program 4-1. Right at the end and saying, "Where is everybody?"
I know, Lebarsky, you're actually spot on time, and you're actually a little bit early, to be fair. So fair play to you. I'm sorry, I accidentally.
Yeah, is he all right?
Sorry, I just accidentally hit my dog there. Sorry, Arnie. Sorry, buddy.
But as I've always said, the funny thing is, have we ever seen Lebarsky, Jamie, and Graham in the same room at the same
time? But guys, if you're new to the show, as well, thank you for swinging by, hearing us UK idiots talking about American football. So yes, but if you do enjoy liking our content, be sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You know the drill.
Yeah,
we're everywhere. You'll see us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all the usual.
Yeah, and tonight is it's. Not that it's a fan rant show, but we are throwing the show over to you guys tonight. We want your questions. We want your opinions. We want your draft thoughts. We do have a couple of things we're going to talk about. We do have a couple of questions that were sent in through the various social media channels. But if you have something you want to talk about, get it in the chat, put it down. As I say, we have Mike, we have Paul, and of course we have Graham to answer your questions for you. So it would be remiss of me at this point not to also, and we also have Big Wheel in the house.
Look who it is! Look who it is!
Oh, my man.
I just a big shout out to Lloyd Wheeler because not to divulge too much information, but he's been a bit under the weather lately. It's good to see that he is here and he's healthy. That is the main thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it would be remiss of us not to discuss the big event of last night and the impact that has had on the Wilson family up there in Scotland. So, Graham, how has the great and wonderful and powerful Mr. Sir Ian Wilson taken the news of the departure of one Ron Rodgers?
Yeah, the usual classics, like no one's bigger than the team.
Yeah. Let's go full cliche.
Declining player. If he doesn't want to be here, blah 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 blah. They took Jordan Love for a reason, and this, that, and the other, and everything's going according to plan, and everything will be fine. Right. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I have the Vikings down for that division. I have the Lions a close second.
Bears?
It's going to be a whirlwind of a year for Jordan Love. He has very young receivers. a running back that isn't utilized properly. Yeah, it's going to be a it's going to be a tough year. But no, I mean, the Packers gave Rodgers that money for a reason. They obviously believed in him, but they didn't want to pay the going rate at the time, and of course they've given him a huge extension. And I cannot believe, you guys will obviously add in your thoughts on this, but I cannot believe what they got. Swapping 15 and 13, I thought was enough. Swapping a second round pick for a fifth round pick, I thought was enough. And then the conditional next year, if he plays 65% of the snaps, that is huge. I cannot believe. Exactly. I cannot believe the number. I can hear him in the background. I mean, let's not forget, we're talking about a quarterback who was considering retirement this time last year.
Look at Paul, he's gone.
They didn't know if he was going to play.
Is this how this show is going to go tonight? It's just going to be pure chaos. That answers my question. So,
I could just see you going. I was like, I've got him. And when you get Paul, you've got to go with it.
Sorry, Graham, I have ruined your moment there. I do apologize.
It's not my moment.
Yeah.
He's not my quarterback.
That's true.
Isn't it funny though? And it happens with all NFL teams and everything. When situations like this, it was always the plan. You know, this is why we did this. But it's funny that you always find out what the plan is after it's gone wrong. You never hear like, well, the plan is we've done this ready. So in a couple of years, when Aaron Rodgers moves to the Jets, we've got, it's like that was never talked about. All of a sudden, it was the plan.
Like, all I can think about when you mentioned the plan, all I can think about is the guy for the bloody A team. It's like, I love it when a plan comes together. That's the only thing that I've got pictured in my head right now.
Yeah. So the funny thing coming out of this, obviously, now that Aaron Rodgers is out of the NFC, Dak Prescott is the longest reigning.
That's right.
Quarterback in the NFC.
The longest reigning starting quarterback. Yes.
That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy.
It is true. Very, very, very true.
Crazy thing.
I still can't believe the Jets gave up what they did. When you think that I'm not sure if he's turned 40 or if he will turn 40 this year, but say the Jets had said, we'll give you a third round pick, and the Packers said no. Were the Packers really going to go into the season with a quarterback that's on $40 million, not happy, doesn't want to play? Were they really going to give that opportunity to Rodgers and let Jordan Love walk? Because you're not going to extend the quarterback that's never played 5 games.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? Like if Rodgers has said, I don't want to play for the Packers, what leverage did the Packers have? Player power is so strong nowadays.
Do you know what's really funny though? And me and you discussed this before, Greg. I think we all have. But what I find funny is that I can see in this year's draft, the Packers selecting Jackson Smith and Jigba with their first pick. Just to really, like, it's a double, like the double entendre sort of thing. Like, basically, Rodgers is gone. Now we'll invest in our wide receiver core.
Yeah,
That's what you get. Yeah.
Let's go weapons daft. Yeah.
My bad. Tight end wide receiver doesn't really matter. But anyway, screw Green Bay. We're here to talk about us.
Yes, absolutely well said, Paul. And as we say, look, get the questions in, get the comments in, get your thoughts in. We said we talk a little bit about two positions that are, one is a need and one is a sneaky need. So, Mike, I'm going to rely on you here and assume you've done scouting reports on a couple of these guys. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, of course I have.
Jake Moody, and Chad Ryland.
Yeah.
So for anyone who's unfamiliar with both of these players, kickers are people too.
And if memory serves us right, kickers have cost us quite a few times over the past couple of years, and and it's about time we actually start doing some actual homework on them.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is we've talked about this before. You know, that it is crazy when you think like a lot, and if we just talk figuratively on field goals and extra points, a lot is based on your kicker. And it seems weird sometimes that the Cowboys, especially when you think last year, and it kind of worked in their favor the way they did it. But you think like it's in OTAs, we've got 2 kickers who have sat around, kind of not doing anything. It gets to camp, and they're seen sitting on the sideline, catching a breeze over in California. And you're kind of like, what is going on? You need kickers. You've got Brett Maher, who I will hold my hands up. I very much took the mick out of him preseason, and
we all did.
You were not alone.
Well, unless you watched that the Buccaneers game.
Yeah. I mean, like if you remember, we did the SpongeBob video on him missing all of those kicks, and it just seems crazy that. And then you know. There is no kicker. I know we've got a guy on.
Sorry, but mate, Joe, behave yourself. We're not going to go for a kicker at number 26.
that has been done before.
We're not the Raiders.
Yeah, we're not the Oakland Raiders.
Yeah, and you just think that there's so much that you put on your kicker that you think it's just like just go and. For me, what I would be doing every year, and I think the Cowboys are going to do it this year. I don't see them using a pick, but there will be a priority free agent that they go and get in terms of kicker. But what I would be doing every year, my last pick will always be a quarterback. Try and invest, see what you can get there. Work for the 49ers. The other thing I would be doing is my priority free agent every year, without fail, will always be a kicker. Why not? See what you can get there. Do it every year. They the 2 guys who can score you the most points.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. And I nearly knocked out my computer there. Sorry, I'm sure moving
it makes sense. But I will throw this into the situation. Mason Crosby, Ryan Suckup, Robbie Gould, Randy Bullock, our own Brett Maher, and Rodrigo Blankenship, all unsigned. So it's not like you can't go and pick one up. But I do get what you're saying, Mike. You want fresh, you want ego, you want key
battles.
You want somebody that hasn't made their millions. Why not? 6th round, 7th round. Why not?
Yeah, just do it every year.
I would actually avoid the veterans right now. They would cost a bit more as well.
Yep. Oh yeah, definitely.
They're older as well, Paul. Most of those guys are well over 30.
Yeah, and they don't have the length of the kick anymore, pretty much. I mean, take Greg the leg, for example. Well, Greg the stump.
Isn't Mason Crosby close to 50 at this stage?
He's 39.
Well, it's not Adam Vinatieri, come on.
No. But I mean, would any of us grumble if Brett Maher played another season for the Cowboys?
If he can knock out the mistakes and be then I wouldn't. But I would rather prefer we got someone fresh in, someone we can actually get them tilted up on the bones for sure. So, yeah. But guys, get your comments and let us know what you think about. Like, should we go for a brand new kicker? Should we get a veteran in? Like, because this is your show, guys. Like, get your comments in.
Think how many of them are unsigned after the draft. One up.
Like, for me, when it comes to kickers, like the way it's kind of a lazy way to do it, but the only thing really you can do kicking scouting fairly quickly and simply is the way that I always do it is just you look at the kickers coming out this year. What is their field goal percentage? How many attempts did they make? How were they? How many extra points did they miss? And how many kicks did they make 50 plus? And that's it. The only other time that you kind of watch the tape is what's their kickoff like? Because that's an underrated part of the kicker's game. And you watch one kickoff. Does it go into the end zone? There we go. Ticks the box. That's all I'm looking at in terms of the rest of it. Kicking at high pressure, kicking because you mentioned it great. Rodrigo Blankenship, fantastic kicker, and we've seen it as well. Other kickers taken fairly high in a draft. The kicking game is about handling pressure, and I'm trying to remember what kicker it was before. I'm trying to remember who said it. And there was a kicker before the NFL who said, I'm not one of the best 32 kickers in the world. He said, there's 100 people who could probably kick a field goal more accurately and at further distance than I can. But Will said he won't be able to do is beat me under pressure. And that's kicking in the thing. Not about how far you can kick and it's how you can do it when it's all put on you. And
it's all in there, mate. It's all in there.
It is. It's all psychological. And the other side, the other issue that we have is that of the 32 NFL teams, this is crazy. Of the 32 NFL teams, there is only one team that has a kicking coach. That's fact.
Yeah.
Baltimore and
why.
Correct.
See why.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean,
and it happens to be that the one team that has a kicking coach has the best kicker in the NFL.
Justin Tucker.
Yep,
but
it's true.
I understand why there's only one, because there's only so much technique involved in a field goal.
I think as a kicking coach, what you could do is you can create false pressure, can't you? You put them on the field and you put them under some form of false pressure. You can do it. There's sneaky ways to do it.
There's going to be extreme so hear me out in this one. There's going to be extreme scenarios in the future where you're going to get not wind tunnels, but you're going to get enhance the wind indoor training facilities to kind of replicate certain stadiums and stuff like that for kickers. That's going to be something in the future.
I've heard of teams doing this, that they're practicing penalties in soccer.
Yeah.
They're practicing penalties. You cannot replicate game day pressure.
The pressure,
when you've gone through a match and you're exhausted, because things happen in games that don't happen in a practice situation. So you can't replicate that. Where I was trying to bring it round to here, and you mentioned the point, Mike, was in terms of Jake Moody. Last season, he went 29 to 35 on field goals. I think he missed most of them from between 40 and 50 yards, but nailed everything from 50. And he kicked every one of his 60 extra point attempts. So,
Jake Moody, did you say?
Jake Moody, yeah.
Okay. I've got his. What I do is I make notes of their 50 plus field goals, and he was 3 for 7, but he did make a 60.
Yeah. So there's a guy who has the leg, and is it worth sacrificing potentially your 5th round pick, getting a guy in who can kick from 60 yards, who doesn't miss field goals? And I mean, it's not as if he wasn't playing under pressure. He has played in the Big Ten multiple years, multiple time Big Ten kicker of the year.
Yeah. Okay. I hear you. And it's fine. But in the ACC, there's the Grozer Winner Award, which is given to the best special teams player in the ACC. And that is given to NC State's Christopher Dunn, right? He's not getting drafted. He is going undrafted, right?
Yeah.
I'm telling you now. But here it is. Are you ready for this? Here is his stats from last year. Tell me if you like these. Extra points, perfect, 100%. Field goals, 97% in conversion rate, if you like. 50 yard plus, 2 for 2 with a long of 54.
You like it.
I like that. And I like the idea of making him a priority undrafted free agent sign. And you go out there, you have some scout, local area scout, just perched on his door, ready. So as soon as the draft is finished, I'm knocking his door and I'm saying, sign on the line, the Cowboys want you. And you put him, and great point again, Lil Matt, just touch. Sorry, I done the wrong hole. And I just think you take 10 and you put him out there. If push comes to shove and he doesn't work out, you go out and you go and try and find, as some of the guys have mentioned, some of the guys, the veterans out there, and you just make them the emergency priority issue. Then you do once you start to get towards the camp. But you can have him out there, you can have him kicking, and you can see how he does. Put him under pressure, put the fans on, put him on skinny posts. I don't mean the route, I mean skinny posts.
Yeah. So look, there's plenty of questions coming in.
Sorry, just imagine a kicker tearing down the field.
Trying to do a skinny post. Yeah. Thought he'd fall over his feet.
You would expect that for like a Pat McAfee, even though he's no kicker, but you would expect something like that for him.
Yeah. Like some 5'8" kicker, like he's like not even 180 pounds soaking wet. Like
he gets jammed on the line, goes back 10 yards.
Never to be seen again.
Sounds like BJ Robinson in pass protection.
Wait. How many minutes was the BJ Robinson talk?
24 minutes.
24 minutes this time. 45 seconds last week.
It's true, though. It's true. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Paul, I'm ready. I'm ready. Let's do it.
Do you have a positive or a negative take on Bijan Robinson, Mr. Graham?
What did you franchise Tony Pollard for?
Wow. Wow. I did not expect that. Thank you, GXL70, for that.
Hey, you never know. Arnie might be a Longhorns fan. He's the right color.
Wait. Let me address the elephant in the room, right? I do not have a problem drafting Bijan Robinson. I don't have a problem with it. I just think there's a better option than him. Like, if he's there available, like from a tight end perspective, from an offensive line perspective, can I say, like, is there flaws with Bijan Robinson? Absolutely. He can't pass protect if he's in the passing game scenario, but he's an outstanding rusher. And my point of view is when you look at these type of running backs like Ezekiel Elliott, Saquon Barkley, and Bijan Robinson, out of those three, right, Zeke had a complete package coming out of college. He could rush the ball. He's one of the best pass protection running backs you can get. And you can probably say the exact same for Saquon Barkley. But from a pure rusher standpoint, Bijan is number one. But out of those three running backs, I would put Bijan to number 3. That's where I'm at.
I mean, like, put it this way. Like, you're saying about that, the hardest thing to find in a running back is pass protection. To find a good pass protecting running back is the hardest thing to find. So you're kind of just trying to find the best of what you've got, and then trying to
this
on them, you know.
This is where it goes back to my point. Does this really solidify Bijan being an actual first-round draft pick? Because you've had previous running backs previously who could do all that. Like even Todd Gurley.
So hold on. I'm going to jump in here for a second because I've heard this for weeks, right, Paul? And I'm not trying to defend Bijan Robinson in this, but all we heard.
You should though. You're a Longhorns fan.
I know, but all we heard all season from our own fan base, we're not paying Zeke the money we're paying him to pass protect. You're not bringing in Bijan Robinson to be a pass protector.
That's a fair point.
He's there to be your bell cow. He's there to be your dynamic, fast, every down running back, which is what Zeke was in his first 3 to 4 years. Now, obviously, look, that's a function of your O-line. Well, if we're bringing in a running back to be a pass protector, you're wasting a pick on a running back
in the first round.
I'm not saying that fundamentally that's the main reason why. Like, I'm just saying, like, I think there is better options available. But just can you bring up DJ Dog's comment there? I do agree what he's just mentioned here. Like, I would say the majority of all these running backs are brilliant rushers, but they can't pass protect. But the thing is, though, what makes it different? Like, I just don't understand why Bijan has been classed as a first-round talent when he is not a full-on package. Where
he's a top 5 player, Paul. He's absolutely a top 5 player in this draft. There's no way you cannot turn around and say a running back isn't a top caliber player because there's 1% that he can't do properly. Like, it's not a fair thing to say. Like, that's basically like turning around and saying, well, we shouldn't pick a quarterback because he can't pass protect.
I get that. Like, I'm not trying to hate on the guy. I'm not. Like, I genuinely do like Bijan. I really do. I think he's outstanding.
He's number 8 on my board.
I just can't justify drafting another running back in the first round. That's my point. I just can't.
I'm gonna back Paul up. If you're taking a running back in the first round, he has got to be a 3-down back. He has got to be.
I would say Bijan is.
He is.
But where does that do with Tony Pollard now? Because you've got him in a franchise tag. That's my point.
Yeah, well, I mean that basically, if you're taking Bijan Robinson in this year's draft, Tony Pollard is not part of your plan going forward. He's not your long term. He's no longer your long term plan. That you franchise tagged him this year, he becomes part of the rotation, the committee that's going to be there this year.
Yeah,
and he is basically he's this year's Dalton Schultz, but in a slightly different situation. But and what it does then is it doesn't. So Bijan's now your plan for the next 6 years. So he's first round. So you take your 5th year option, you franchise tag him the 6th year, and then you're done with him. So that would be that. But what it would mean is next year, and this is why I'm against the Bijan Robinson pick, not because of the talent, because of how it puts your roster construction in a bind, and also your draft sequencing for the rest of the draft. Every time I take Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs with the first pick, the rest of the draft, I'm finding I'm trying to pick up the pieces. I'm trying to take up the slack. But what it also means when you think about it is in 2024, I got to draft another running back.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, 100% you do. Because with
Pollard, perhaps, yes. I mean, the way I'm kind of looking at it, and this is my last take on it, it's like when you're looking at the other teams, right? Like, take the Eagles, take Kansas City as a prime example, right? They have got like a running back by committee.
It works.
Right? And it works.
I'm just going to bring something up. Let's not forget talking the last few days about that team and their interest in Derrick Henry.
Mm-hmm. By the way, that wasn't true. Just so you know. But just so you know, it was turned out that the whole Eagles and Derrick Henry thing isn't got as much weight behind it as people think.
Excuse me.
Go on, G. You've kind of been quietly simmering there.
I'm just trying to think when the last time was that your franchise tag played 50% of the snaps. So, like, for instance, the franchise Tony Pollard, right? Throughout the season, we heard the Cowboys cannot lose Tony Pollard. It's the travesty if the Cowboys let Tony Pollard go. We must use Tony Pollard more. Zeke is done. Get Zeke out the door. Right, we've done the first part. We've got Zeke out the door. Are you really going to bring in competition for snaps from the guys you've just franchised? You've been singing about them all season long. He needs more snaps. He needs more of the ball. yeah, and then you go and bring in. I mean, I think this is all theoretical because I think Bijan Robinson is well off the board by 26.
Yeah, I agree.
So this is all theoretical, right? This is all theoretical. But so you bring. I mean, is it not a kind of a written rule that your first round pick plays at least 75% of the snaps?
Oh,
surely.
What's happened? Breaking news.
Yeah. Tagovailoa is considering retirement.
Whoa!
Justin Jefferson has had his 5th-year option exercised.
Justin Jefferson?
Yeah. And Joe Burrow has 2 expected.
So in other words, Tagovailoa wants a contract extension.
Or he wants something, contract, because he's worried about the injuries, isn't he?
That's what it is. That's what it is, effectively. And the day before the draft, he's effectively saying to the Dolphins, well, I might retire, so either extend me or pick a new quarterback.
Wow.
Talk about, though, having so much. Think about the bad luck Miami have had in terms of running back the last few, running back choices.
Oh, yeah.
They've had it bad, and it's not like it's no fault of their own, though. It's just bad luck is really what you can put it down to for the Dolphins. And I know there's a lot of Dolphins fans in the UK. So,
that kind of begs the question: will Miami go for Lamar Jackson?
Maybe.
Yeah, to go back to my point before.
Sorry, man.
If they do go with Robinson, if they jump up to 17, 18, whatever it's going to take, you've either got the situation where your first round pick is not playing 75% of the snaps, which is a bad pick, let's face it, unless he's red shirting, or your franchise tag is not playing 75%. Which I think is ludicrous. You do one or the other. See if the Cowboys had said, yeah, we're not going to franchise Tony Pollard, but don't panic, we're going to get Bijan Robinson. Everybody would have gone, well, okay, fair enough. You're bringing in an alternative, fine, but do you not think they're a little bit similar in terms of pass protection? You know, they can rush, they can stretch the field, they can move out into the slot. They're a little bit similar, yes.
Yeah.
So it doesn't weigh up for me. I get it's a flash move and it's a total Jerry move, but like I said before, I don't think it happens. I think he's well gone by then.
Yeah.
By 26 anyway.
So can I bring this conversation back round a little bit here? And this kind of feeds off Lebarski's question, right? And Paul, I could see your reaction to us, right? A 3rd round running back and 1st round guard, then a 1st round running back and a 3rd round guard, right? Now, Graham, look, obviously we know you love a good O-line man in the 1st round, but if the Cowboys go 1st round O-line again, which a lot of us want, you're now looking at a situation where we have potentially four 1st round picks on our offensive line. You have a very dodgy running back who's coming off a season-ending injury, which he might not be ready for the start of the season. So are you not effectively cheating your board if you pass up on a player like Bijan Robinson if he's available to you?
No, because very, very, maybe not quietly, but over the length of maybe 5-6 years, that's literally what the Eagles have been doing. They've been building in the trenches, and lo and behold, they make the Super Bowl.
Yep.
You know, whether it's a tackle or a defensive tackle or a pass rusher, they're building in the trenches.
Yeah.
And just to support your comment there, Grim, like as much as we all hate the Eagles, but they have that running back by committee, like with Sanders, etc., and they're rotating behind that offensive line, and they're still be it like all of them are playing a big crucial part to their offense.
I mean, I get the point, Brian. That
and Hurts as well.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, did they not pay their running back a $250 million contract recently?
Yeah, it was just a bit, but that I just realized, the biggest running back is the quarterback.
I mean, you've got lots of first round picks on that line, but they spent those picks particularly on Smith and Martin a long time ago. You know, it's and they've obviously proven to be good picks. So, I mean, see if you throw in Travis Frederick, that's 5.
Yeah.
But there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that. They still have. That's another reason why I have problems with the Robinson pick, because I don't know if Cowboys Nation had moved away, but from what I've been reading, the left guard conversation has kind of evaporated a little bit.
I agree.
Are you moving Tyler Smith back in? Is Tyron Smith going to be ready? Would you not rather start afresh and have Smith as a swing tackle, or
that's
it seems to have wandered into fantasy land where we're starting thinking about stud running backs who can't pass protect, I might add. But you know, you don't, like I always say, you don't put another Lamborghini in the driveway when you've got cracked foundations in the house. And I think the crack is still there. At least we had Connor McGovern. I mean, I never thought, I held my hands up. I never thought I would say that, but even Connor McGovern's gone now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I thought this comment from Lloyd was actually quite interesting. I know we're talking about like some BJ and stuff, but in terms of like pass protection, running backs, it's like, oh, that's Joe's comment. Is Ronald Jones a good
on the brain?
No, that wasn't me. That was accidental. That comment just popped up there. So, I actually don't know, because to be honest, it's hard to say about Ronald Jones.
Average. He's an average type of guy.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
But in terms of a blocking back, is he?
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's an
average.
They're about the same. Yeah, I probably would say he's better as a blocker, only because he's got more of the frame to do it than what Pollard has.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking as well.
Like more of the bigger frame to sustain the block, where Tony Pollard is more of just that. Can I clip you? And is that enough?
Yeah.
So there is that. Here's an interesting one though. Or have we got guys, because it's the Fan Rant show? We got rants coming in.
I've got one question here, and this is the one that Jamie had from us before the show started. And look, people, if you want to,
he gave me,
it's the same one he gave you.
Same one. Okay.
So, the top 3 players available to you at pick 26 are Lucas Van Ness, Darnell Wright, and Bijan Robinson.
For me, it's Darnell Wright. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't have.
I've already told him that. I said to him, and he was like, "For God's sake, you're not supposed to answer now." And I was like, "Yeah, but you don't know the reasons why. But you guys go first. Go on."
Yeah, Darnell Wright, run that pick up to the podium. Don't even think about it. You know, like do the whole first overall pick thing where you leave it, 9 minutes and 50 seconds if you like, so they talk about you for the whole 10 minutes. But yeah, don't think twice. Darnell Wright.
Here's another question for you. Like if we're at 26 and Bijan's there's going to be another team behind us that maybe Cowboys might not want to draft him. We might move up 1 or 2 places. We might get an extra couple of picks, and Wright might still be there.
Yeah. If Bijan Robinson was still there, then I think he doesn't make it past Tampa. That's what the guys at the Scouting Academy were saying. He does not. What they've been told is Tampa is like the limit. Yeah. And if he does make it to Tampa, he's being drafted there. Tampa are picking him up. They've said the talk is that they're not wanting to draft up to get him, but if he falls to the lap, they're going to take him there. That's it. Done. Yep. Signed, sealed, and delivered.
It would be a team pick, but
if he was there for Cowboys, say for some obscure reason, something was to happen, and it was. I think the best. The only issue I've got, because on my board, yeah, he's a first round pick. So he's a first round grade on mine, and I've only got 13 first round grades on my board. So if you're at 26 and you've got a first round graded player, you have to take him. You've got no choice. Yeah. As annoying as it would be.
Just to back up Mike's statement there, at the moment the starting running back for the Buccaneers is Rashad White, who got one touchdown and 500 yards. So they don't think about it.
Just to give you guys context of what I was looking at. That's my draft board, and as you can see, 13 and Bijan's 7th.
Yeah.
Just a wee quick. So out of those 3 players that were mentioned there, how would you put them in order? For me, it'd be Wright, Robinson, then Van Ness.
Yes. Yeah. Exact same. Because I don't even know what Van Ness is. I don't even.
I would have it Robinson, Van Ness, Wright.
Wow, really?
But that's just me.
Are we saying on our board, or what in terms of like for Dallas?
No, that's just my personal thing. That's how I would rank the 3 of them: is Robinson, Van Ness, Wright.
I'm quite intrigued by that, Brian. Interesting.
See that,
if I was to do them in my order, it'd be Bijan, Wright, Van Ness.
Yeah,
go on, Gray.
I take Mike's question there differently. I think that if Robinson is there at 26, Jerry Jones doesn't think twice.
No, he doesn't. That's what I'm saying.
He takes the flash player, and that's why I think it's an important question, Mike, because you have need, you have best player ability,
a first round grade,
and you have flash, and
not just
see the flash in Jerry's eyes.
The fact that he's from Texas as well, it's just make a lot of money though.
In my opinion, we didn't need CeeDee Lamb at the time, and they took him because they saw extreme value and flash in that pick. And I think to get the 7th ranked player at 26, that's flash and value. So I think it happens. But like I said, it won't happen. Not unless they jump up together.
He said he doesn't, like I say, if he's there in the late teens, there is suddenly going to be a squabble. Especially because, like, after Tampa, then you're looking at a running for wide receivers that are going to go. If it hasn't already happened, because there's 2 places really can happen. But just before the Cowboys pick, there's a run of wide receivers that are going to go there. So you think really none of those guys are looking at a running back, although that value's there, they could take them. But I think there's guys, who pick after us that could really do with a running back, and that's where the squabble happens. I don't think the squabble with trading, if Bijan Robinson makes it to the Cowboys, would be a thing, because it's going to happen before that. And so guys are going to be like, I need to trade here quick before this goes out of reach for me.
Yeah, that's a good fair point, man. Like the teams behind us could potentially trade up ahead of us to get Robinson.
They would be the guys. Yeah,
that's a fair point.
To give you a sneak at my predictions, I have Robinson 9th to the Bears. Run first team, almost brand new quarterback. Their starter at the minute is Dante Foreman. So does it not all add up? I get there could be a defensive tackle there, but they're a run first team with very little offensive weaponry. Would Robinson not help tremendously in Chicago?
That it makes perfect sense, man. I've seen quite a lot of mock drafts where analysts in Chicago are kind of screaming for that. So yeah, like more do you think about it? Bijan could be there at number 9.
Too high for wide receiver.
Yeah, you're right about wide receivers because they're all over the board. You ask the 4 of us, we'll have 4 different opinions on who the top receiver is and where they're ranked. So
I think
if it's not Jackson, then you're wrong, by the way. Jackson Smith is the number 1.
Jackson, not Dallas, though.
I really don't. He doesn't because of the fit. The fit doesn't work. I need. Although Brandon Cooks has slightly changed that now, because I was always after a speedy downfield threat type guy, a field stretcher. Now they got that in Brandon Cooks. Kind of opens you back out again in terms of what type of wide receiver you can bring in. And that is also telling in terms of the types of wide receiver they brought in on the 30 visit. You look, they haven't gone after the speedy, nippy downfield guys. They've gone for the full range. They've gone for the full plethora. They've gone from Quentin Johnson to Jalen Hyatt. So they've really gone all the way through the scale.
So, look, we've kind of exhausted the Bijan Robinson talk, and there are plenty of other comments coming. So we'll try and move it along, right? Another one of the big topics that's been mentioned, and I'm going to pull up Joe's comment here. Hearing from other podcasters, Michael Mayer, if he's still available at 26. I heard today that some people are actually replacing Michael Mayer as their tight end one with Dalton Kincaid.
Good.
Kincaid is their only first round tight end. Mayer is slipping down to a second round tight end.
They would be wrong, is the answer there. So you want to tell me, right? Okay, I get the reasons why, because Kincaid is more of a move tight end. But you're going to tell me that, and Kincaid was the number one tight end last year in terms of yards and receptions.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, fantastic. But you want to tell me that you're going to have a flash in the pan 1 year tight end with back injuries as your number one tight end when you have Michael Mayer, who was the number one tight end coming out of high school, went to Notre Dame, and literally from the day he started to the day he finished has been like a top 3 tight end in college the whole time. And he yes, completely right. Mayer barely separated at a college level, right? Okay. I tell you, the other guy who did that too, Jason Witten. And that is exactly what Michael Mayer is. He's an inline wide tight end, which is really hard to find. There you go. You see that very much the same in what you have in Witten, that blue collar type player. Obviously, Notre Dame, so smart, intelligent, understands the game, understands the position. You say he can't separate, but yet you will see him finding space. He knows how to manipulate what he's seeing and can find space in the middle of the field, and he'll catch that ball. Like I can't remember which game it was I watched now. There was a game I watched, and he's in fact it's on my Twitter on one of the highlights. He comes in, he goes on a crossing route, he catches the ball for a touchdown, straight down the middle. You can say he doesn't separate, which is kind of true. The what it is it's not that he can't separate. The issue is the athletic profile. That he's not a top end speed type guy. He has good levels of acceleration and agility, but they're not elite. None of it, when you look at the athletic side of it all, is elite. But then that was Jason Witten. And yet Jason Witten is catching balls, he's separating. And don't forget, Dak Prescott loves that type of tight end.
So I'm gonna flip this question another way to both Graham and Paul, right? So you both kind of said in terms of, say, Bijan, can't block. No use to you. If you bring in Michael Mayer, he can block for days. He is a 6th offensive lineman. So given the history of tight ends in the first round, they're not generally very successful. Is it a concern to take a tight end in the first round?
Not for me, no.
Are the measurables too good with Michael Mayer?
No, not really. Because like most analysts and even yourself, Mike, you've how many first round grades have you got? Like 18 to 20? So anything above that, you're talking about a high end second round player anyway. It's just unfortunate it's our first round pick with a 5th year option. So to me, it makes no difference. He's still going to be an impactful player if we do get Michael Mayer.
Yeah.
And
Michael Mayer is my first tight end. He's my tight end one.
Yeah, so I would definitely take him if he's there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like for me, he's a better blocker in terms of all-around blocker than Darnell Washington. He's great blocking in a lot of ways, Washington is, but Mayer in terms of everything, like across the board of blocking, ticks more boxes than Washington.
Washington Rich was just mentioned that. He said, would you not prefer the big man Washington as a new tight end? That might be somewhere you have to come back around in the second round. Go on, G.
Like for a couple of weeks now, I've asked myself, like, obviously I'm one of the O-line guys on the show, one of the O-line guys in Cowboys Nation, but what if there is no value at 26? My next step would be then, how can you bring in pass protection and a bit of option for that?
There we go. You just nailed it there, Broom.
And then I get the whole tight end in the first round, but fifth year option, and he does a little bit of both. He provides a target and a bit of pass protection, because it's all well and good saying, we need O-line help, we need help on the O-line, but if it's not there, you can't draft it. With Meyer, a little bit of everything.
Yeah, it is. And like you see with Meyer too, that you see a lot that you can play in the backfield as a little bit of H-back, but you can also move him out to the slot and he'll be effective. Honestly, just completely think of Jason Witten. I've got Jason Witten as the comp for him, because you watch it and it's everything speaks. So like, you want to tell me that, like, let's go back in time and Jason Witten was available to you with the first pick, and you wouldn't go back in time and go, we've got to take that type of guy with our first pick. Here you are now, years later, and going, you have a Jason Witten right here. You don't want to take that guy. Everybody loved Jason Witten. Everybody still loves him. Why would you not want that back on your team? I don't get it. And you mentioned it just now, Bri, that the stigma is tight end. So there's an issue with tight end value in the first round, which I kind of get. Right? That's understandable. And then people go, well, look at the past with first round tight ends. Okay. Do we have to do the same thing with, do you think that the teams that are needing a quarterback this year are saying the same thing? That they're going, look at the first round quarterbacks that we've had in the past. Let's pass on quarterback in the first round, because in the past, they haven't really come off. You know, we'll wait till a later round for it. Or do you think they're going to be like, no, he's the best player. He's a great player. He's a quarterback. He's important. We need him on the team. You just take, in the first round, I've always said it, the first round is just take whatever's best and then work out the rest.
Yeah.
The counter argument is Kyle Pitts. I mean, for months up to the draft, they were ready to put Kyle Pitts into the Hall of Fame.
His issue is though, for Kyle Pitts, his issue is the roster he's on though. He's being misutilized massively.
He was going to the Hall of Fame and he was going to take Matt Ryan with him. Matt Ryan's now finished, and Kyle Pitts is a late fourth round talent.
I would say he's not being utilized correctly though.
Yeah.
The Falcons have been totally unfair to him.
Yeah, like, I mean, I can see the argument both ways in terms of tight ends. Like, if you look at the top tight ends right now, they're generally third round guys. Travis Kelce, George Kittle, I think we're both taken in the third round, and that seems to be a sweet spot for tight end. But if Mayer is your best player available, or if it's Kincaid is your best player on your board at 26, you've got to take him.
BPA.
Yeah. But
Go on, sorry.
There's another one in here from Lloyd, and I think we can kind of counter this slightly in terms of the conversation we had with Broadus last week. There's a rumor floating around that we may take the guard from TCU.
Yeah. Like,
Paul,
I don't
take it away.
Yeah, like, as much as I like Steve Avila, but I don't see him being in the first round. Like, the best chance if you're going to get Steve Avila is to trade up in the second to get him, I reckon. And I think that could be a possibility depending what we do in this first round. If it's not O-line that we do in the first round, if it's another position, then there's a likely chance that we could potentially move up places to try and get Avila.
That works for me. Yeah. Like we spoke about this, Paul, that this draft is a little weird because it's top heavy. It's top heavy, and after like especially day 3, it's very defined in terms of the talent gap. The talent gap, the shelf is huge. So why not, if you want the more talented guys in this draft, why don't you trade everything that's at the end of your draft to trade up early and get the best players?
Rich actually brings up a really good point. If we are discounting Hendershot and Henderson,
it works.
Yeah, it works. You mean Ferguson and
Ferguson
and Hendershot.
Just go Ferguson.
Yeah. I mean, that's a fair point because I do like both of those players. I do. Yeah. And I do like Jake Ferguson. So do we still go tight end? I don't know. Yes. Like this is the big question. Like
you do.
And I think with what is happening this year, that how we've done, I still think so well this season in terms of this off season where bringing in free agents and bringing in trades like Kirks, etc., Stephen Gilmore, etc. We're in this weird scenario where our options in the draft are somewhat very dependent on other teams. We're not really. It's hard to explain, but basically we're in a luxury position where we're just filling up the squad when we really need to, but at the same time, like these best players available, does it make sense? That's the question. Does it make sense to draft this best player available when there's other needs?
Yeah.
Like it's the weirdest draft I've ever analyzed in recent years. And who was it brought up the comment about Cole Strange there?
I think it was DJ Dog.
Who's the guy who kept talking about Cole Strange last year? Me.
So, Paul, who is this year's Cole Strange for you?
Sayaka Ika for Baylor.
Okay. You have been on that train for months, so.
Yep. Sayaka Ika, the defensive interior tackle from Baylor, is my pet cat this year.
So, Austin.
I like that.
Yeah.
Cody Mock. We've not talked about him that much, to be fair.
We can do. Not. I mean, go on. What did you say then, Greg?
Does lightning strike twice? Does Paul get his guy? Who knows? We'll soon find out. But no, I was talking to my dad about the draft. Is Cody Mock not the most Packers looking pick you've ever seen?
The long scraggly hair,
missing teeth.
Yeah, just like dirty elbows,
2 foot of snow.
It's either Green Bay or Cleveland. That's where he kind of belongs.
He is very
Denver.
Green Bay. Very
even Denver.
Denver. Yeah. He's going with your guy from Wisconsin, Whitewater, from 2 years ago.
Oh, Twins Miners.
Yeah, Quinn Miners.
Oh,
that's where he's going.
I love Quinn. Oh, man, I was so raging that we did not get him. He was the pick before us as well.
So I got to pull up another question here from Joe, right? Because there's a couple of people who've kind of asked about trade-up scenarios or trade scenarios. So he's given us one here. He's saying the Texans have two picks in the first round, pick 2 and pick 12. Would you trade our 26th pick and Michael Gallup for the Texans' number 12 pick?
I don't think that would be enough, to be fair, to move up to
because
12.
the Texans would be silly. That's hugely favour towards the Cowboys to jump up that much just for Michael Gallup.
Yeah, and I'm not giving up Michael Gallup either. I'm not giving up Michael Gallup.
So, right, regardless of that trade, do you see a potential trade-up scenario on Thursday night? I don't see it myself. I think the Cowboys stand pat. They only have 7 picks this year. Yeah. I think they sit where they are, let the board fall to them.
It's a perfect draft for that.
Yep. Yeah. If anything, I see more of a trade back than a trade up.
Yes.
Yeah.
True.
But I agree with all of you. I still think we're going to sit still at 26 unless there's a team that's very, very desperate and needy that one player that might fall down to our lap and they might want him. Then we might trade back a couple of places. That's the only scenario I could think of, really. But other than that, I think we're going to stay at 26. So for our Spotify listeners, the Bashi says, can we just trade Crooks for the Texans 12 pick? Trade them back.
Good work. Joe Francis did leave a mailbag question about kickers. So we did mention some. So they're the guys to look for.
To your question, Brian, do they trade up? No, but if Robinson gets to the mid-teens, Jerry's phone finger starts getting itchy.
I don't see it.
I don't see it. I think he'll be gone. I really do.
Jerry loves a splash. It won't happen, Paul.
He does.
Right.
He does.
I don't think he'll start falling, but in that scenario, I think the numbers, the digits.
When you say make a splash, right? Let's take back the CD Lamb year, right? We didn't even trade up for CD Lamb, and he made a splash.
Yeah, and he felt you.
So
look at Micah Parsons. You traded back and still got him.
Exactly.
So, I'm just going to jog your memories, gentlemen, just in terms of trade ups, and ask. I'm sure you all remember.
I know where you're going.
Who was the last player we traded up and got?
Was it Morris Claiborne?
Oh, actually, you're right. It was Mo Claiborne, but
and it was making a
splash. Making a splash.
Do you know what? Right, I'm going to go back on what I just said. I said that was terrible. It wasn't a terrible pick because we desperately needed a cornerback back then, and you've got the Terrence Newman thing going on. The Cowboys needed to do, but it's just what they sold to get him, and because of this terrible run of injuries he had, he just never came off.
No, still won a Super Bowl.
True.
Yeah, I still remember Mike Mayock said just after we'd selected him that Morris Claiborne had the best hands of any defensive player out of that draft.
Mm-hmm.
And it came to absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
I always take Mike Mayock's advice with a pinch of salt. Mind he said that we would draft Johnny Manziel at 16.
And he slaughtered us for Travis Frederick. He slaughtered us. He said Travis Frederick was a 3rd round pick.
And then look at what he did as a GM for Oakland.
Exactly. And he had.
I actually got banned from NFL UK because of a pick Mike Mayock made.
Wasn't it in 2020 they took Ruggs and Arnett and both of them are now out of the NFL?
Yeah.
Well,
so much for specialists. Then you've got idiots like Mel Kiper and all that as well.
Who the hell is Mel Kiper anyway?
When he once said that Dak Prescott was the best tight end in his class. He really did. I just went, oh man, he needs to shut it down.
To go back to your original question, Brian, I think it was it Mike and Paul said on the show about a trade down scenario?
Yeah,
that picked up a lot of options. What can we run that back? What was that?
I think it was it not us trading back to the Texans into the 2nd round?
Yeah, it was at the top of the 2nd.
Because
would you like me to open up my little book of notes?
Oh, go for it,
Let's
Brian.
see if
Yeah,
we can get irate again.
Okay.
Power up.
The trade scenario was the best available players on the board were Anthony Richardson, Michael Mayer, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Devon Witherspoon, Jalen Carter, and Lucas Van Ness. Houston offered you their second round pick.
Hold on. Yeah. Sorry. Jalen Carter at 26.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I was only.
That's why.
That wasn't the one I don't think that was the one we were thinking of.
That was the one that drove you mental.
Yeah. So if Jalen Carr's there, you take that option. It's a done deal.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
Because the trade idea that I can't remember where it came from, but we did discuss it. It was Houston.
It's with Tom Ryle.
Yeah, it was with Tom Ryle. So we traded back with the Texans being an early second round. And we would get next year's first round draft pick, and also and we would get like multiple picks in the later round as well. Yeah. So I thought, I would take that.
We got we with those picks available to you was like Steve Avila.
Yeah, that's right. So Steve Avila was like in the second. We got Avila. We would have got Ica and all that as well. So
that's right. Yeah, and Jacqueline Roy from LSU.
That's right. Yep.
I always like the idea. I always like the idea of trading for a pick in a future draft. The Patriots used to be really good at it. Like they always had 2 first round picks. They would use one and spend one. And it just seemed to filter through the years, and they always used to, say the Eagles this year, they've got 2. They would move from 10 to 20, pick up next year's 1, and the whole thing just keeps spinning and spinning and spinning. I really like that idea. I wish we would get on board with that.
Yeah.
But of course, you have to trade with somebody that's rotten to get up that high, obviously.
That's the problem.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to pull up. I'm going to pull up. Mike, you did it for me. That was exactly what I was going to talk about. So
it's not a punt. It's not a punt.
No, it's not. So let's talk about this a little bit, right? Rich Gillette has asked us, would we take a punt on Carter at 26 if he dropped? Right?
Yes, absolutely.
Discuss, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Probably one of the best interior tackles, interior defensive tackles in this draft. So yeah.
In the last few drafts.
But I'll admit, I'm always a little bit harsh on these young guys who make mistakes.
Number 3 on my board.
Whilst at college, surrounded by their peers, they do a couple of stupid things, and it costs them in the draft. Laramie Tunsil, for instance, has had an absolutely fine, acceptable career in the NFL. Fair enough, it's with some questionable teams, but he has had an absolutely fine NFL career. That video cost him millions of dollars, and it was simply just a nasty thing that happened. But he still had a fine career. They still don't
know who did it.
Exactly.
Was it not a family member or something like
that? They believe it to be, but it's never been confirmed.
Isn't Tunsil paid left tackle in the league?
He is now.
I couldn't tell you.
I'm pretty sure he's the highest paid left tackle in the league.
But it was based on his rookie contract, though, that he missed out millions in his rookie contract.
He's making it up now, and sometimes something like that gives you the kick in the ass you need.
Yeah. So, I mean, he is saying, Rich Gillett saying about the off-field antics. And I think what he's more referring to is not the incident that led him to be in trouble with the law, but more of what his attitude is like off the field and like within meeting rooms, because that's something that does pop up. And I think that it's true. He does have those issues, but I think what the pre-draft process would have done to him is humble him. and kind of like being like, look, this is where you need to be. This is going to put you in your place. And that's the big thing, because it's all the psychological thing with him at the moment. Because, like, you know, there's the combine / pro day workout results, etc. And I think all that is having an effect on him. So I think what it really takes is for an NFL team, a coaching staff to just be like, mate, this is your job.
Yeah.
You need to take it seriously. And bear in mind, he's a young guy. Like, if you said to me when I was in my early 20s to try and take on this role and be handed millions of dollars, I'm going to walk around with an attitude too. I'm telling you now.
So
I'd be that type of guy.
I'm just going to pull up Lloyd's comment here because I think it does bear some weight, right? He said it, in response to Rich, he said, we certainly don't need another Randy Gregory situation.
It's slightly different.
It is the potential, because I agree with you, Mike. It's a different situation. Randy Gregory had long-standing and known issues. This seems to be an isolated incident with Carter. Obviously, we're not going to know for a year or two whether this is a pattern, it's the start of a pattern, but everything up to this has suggested this is an out of the ordinary incident.
And the thing that Carter's got going for him is he's a premium talent. Randy Gregory was a first round talent. Carter's top. Like, Daniel Jeremiah, for instance, had him first, like the top ranked player in January?
Yeah,
I think it was.
Third on my board.
So on pure skill, he's a top 5 pick. That is what is going to save his draft position. He may fall a little bit. The quarterbacks obviously always go first. But I think in our first mock, I took him first overall for the Bears.
I would have
they hadn't had the speeding incident, or it hadn't come to light anyway. There was no charges filed, so I don't know.
I mean, like,
his talent will save him.
And again, Sapp is kind of like another different situation, even more so than Randy Gregory again. Although that was an insane thing to watch, the tumble. There was other things.
Yeah, the Jets fans going off the nut.
Yeah, it was a few things. And then it turned out, but look at Warren Sapp. There you go. Super Bowl winning Hall of Famer. Jalen Carter, you have to understand that the talent, the player, is he was like, literally, he's the type of guy that did not need 3 years in college to come into the NFL and win. He was already man strong to be able to play the position. And Georgia's defense revolved everything around what he was doing. He was dominating that position easily the last 2 years. You could say 3 at a push. Not completely. But you could see that the potential was there. And you look then that Georgia goes in, wins the Natty again. There's and like, you look at the Georgia offense, okay, it was good, but the Georgia defense was what it was. And the very tippy top of that Georgia defense was Jalen Carter. He was the front man of all of that.
So another question which has come in, and again, this is going to be something which will come up on Saturday, I would assume, when we're covering things. Lloyd has asked, is there any scenario where you would take Max Duggan in the later rounds? Doesn't have to be Max Duggan, maybe a different quarterback.
Clayton Toon, there's Aidan O'Connell. Man,
they're the guys they brought in.
Yeah.
DTR isn't a bad one to take, mind. Me and you both spoken about him before. Bri, saying about I read somewhere that they do the velocity tests. Throwing the ball. So here we go. My mind's gone. Josh Allen has the highest velocity done on the test. DTR beat him.
Yeah.
He did. Yeah, he outthrew him.
Are we ready to give up on Cooper Rush?
I think it's not so much. Oh, go on. Sorry, I'm talking too much. Go, guys.
I think it's a development guy.
Didn't do much wrong.
No, we're just drafting him as an extra body because I think we're going to move away from. Is it Will Greer?
Yes.
Will Greer.
Yeah.
There you go. That's what it is.
It's basically we're going to move away from him, getting a similar quarterback to Dak and Cooper Rush in a way that kind of fits the system. So it makes sense.
And ironically, I said way back when, and you can see it on our show, that I said that Will Greer will always be one of those brilliant college quarterbacks, but everything that he didn't translate to the NFL.
Sounds like a specific offensive coordinator.
Like so in some ways you can have the same argument here about CJ Stroud. And I know that's hot takey, but we'll just wait and see on that. You what, sorry?
It's not given recent news about CJ.
I mean, like CJ Stroud and Will Levis too. I have big question marks. Will Levis is more of the mechanics. Like, it is so confused. I don't understand how you can be playing that long and nobody's spoken to you about your technique and your mechanics, that nobody's coached it. It baffles, it blows my mind.
Are you talking about Will Levis, who said he is going to the Carolina Panthers with the first pick in the draft?
I did see that today too, yeah.
There we go.
Like the Will Levis thing. I've got it in my notes here that he doesn't even let go of the ball all the way through his throw. He lets it go halfway out. He's like throwing the ball forward, and then his arm is here. Then he lets it go, and then he's throwing his arm. I don't get it. And like,
so it sounds like you're talking about Philip Rivers, because that's exactly what he did when he hit his throw, because his throw was so. It looked like he was shot putting it.
That's just one part. Then you see another part where his footwork's all over the place, and then his hands are in different positions, and you map his throwing arc, and it's different every time. There's no consistency there, and my biggest thing, my biggest note on him is that Sean Clifford is in this draft, and he is in fact my QB 17. And Will Levis, while he was at Penn State, could not beat Sean Clifford out of the starting job.
Yeah,
that is it, plain and simple. It's the question marks. CJ Stroud is more so of. And shut up, Brian. It is playing.
Shots fired.
No, yeah, it's playing for Ohio State, and I'm not saying that because you think I hate Ohio State. I don't, right? I'm just saying that Ohio State in the last couple of years, while CJ Stroud has been there, has been one of the most quarterback-friendly teams you could possibly play on. And when they talk about the S2 and that. His score was so low. It's like, well, what do you expect? He's never had to do a lot on that offense. Like, he's never been met with masses of like, let's put it all on CJ Stroud. He's never had to. Damn it. And that's how I see it.
I'm going to back you up on this, right? Because here's the thing with CJ Stroud. 2 years
immobile.
2-year starter in Ohio State.
Yeah.
Ohio State went the 10 seasons before that. I think they lost one game against Michigan.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
He lost both games against Michigan, and neither of those games were close.
I know, like Ohio State, they have gone through a lot of changes in the last few years. So you kind of. You can give them a little pass on that, but on the other side, then you're like when that's going through all of these mass changes that are going on, It's your quarterback. You need to stand steady and be the guy to take it all on. And he just didn't. They didn't need him to. And that's my problem. As well as, you throw on top the issues with, the arm talent is there, right? Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that he never had to do nothing, because he does have a great arm. The arm talent is elite, but he's immobile. And we've seen that. There's no scrambling, rushing. He doesn't create outside of the pocket. Off-platform throws can be an issue, although he does have that. It's all the inconsistencies, especially while when he's facing pressure. That's a big thing. And we know in the NFL, you've got to be mobile.
For me, he's the most un-Ohio State quarterback I've seen in the last 10 years.
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
you look at Braxton Miller, you look at JT Barrett, you look at Cardale Jones, Justin Fields, mobile guys who can get it done out of the pocket, but also who can scramble out of the pocket and make yards. Stroud just looked and felt different.
Yeah. And that's the same argument then that we're having as we go full circle with Will Grier. That you look at Will Grier, all the things he was good at, but the touch passes Will Grier did, and this is where I had problems, is that when he was in college, incredible touch on his passes. Incredible touch on his
drive by there.
Yeah. His touch pass was always very, but then you turn around and you say, like, well, how does that translate in the NFL? And you go, well, the quarterbacks are a lot more athletic. They understand how to play the ball. They know what they're doing. So the one thing that made him special is taken away from him. And you're like, well, what's that? What does he become in the NFL? And that was my problem with Will Grier. But I think that the talk of quarterback isn't against Cooper Rush. It's more against, as Paul quite rightly said, as Will Grier. Yeah. Got there in the end. Whew.
We did.
Yeah. So this is the Fan Rant show, and I would like to hear what the fans have to say on this mock that I've just ran. Okay, so picking at 26, I'm gonna give the fans, right? Let's hear what the fans have to say.
Share your screen.
I'm gonna give the next 6 players on the PFF list. Now we all know what I feel about PFF, but I just used a simulator, right?
It's not documented, so it's all good.
The next 6 players are,
you fools.
Right, here we go. Dalton Kincaid, tight end from Utah. Anton Harrison, tackle from Oklahoma. Emmanuel Forbes, corner from Mississippi State. Will McDonald from Iowa State. And Osiris Torrance, guard out of Florida.
Who's the second guy that you mentioned?
Brian Branch, safety, Alabama.
No.
Kincaid every day of the week.
It's from those six.
As much as I like Osiris Torrance, but he's only suitable for the right guard position. He's only played that position there. He's not. I don't think he's really adjustable to the left-hand side if we were to draft a guard there in the first round. So I wouldn't pass up on Torrance.
So I think I cut out there. So to recap, the next 6 are Kincaid, Branch, Harrison, Forbes, McDonald, and Torrance.
Oh, Kincaid.
See, I'm half.
Dalton Kincaid.
It's Kincaid or Emmanuel Forbes for me.
So
I even Will McDonald.
No.
Meyer went 24 to the Jags.
Oh. In fact, I'm having Emmanuel Forbes over Kincaid. So I'm going Emmanuel Forbes.
I don't think.
Here's a question for you, Graham. What's the trade back options?
So the trade back options, I don't know if that's allowed anymore if you're not to be a PFF subscriber.
I haven't given you my password, mate.
They've made their money.
No, I.
Oh, by the way, I don't endorse handing people's passwords for things out.
No. I mean,
subscription is for me only.
I think if I If I had access to a PFF password, I think I would have to leave the show. Because that's two worlds colliding right there.
So DJ Dog kind of picked up on something for me, right? In terms of your Emmanuel pick, Mike. Emmanuel Forbes is what, 5'11"? Emmanuel Forbes is 5'11", isn't it?
Yeah, it is his biggest drawback, is his size.
He's 166 pounds and cannot put on weight. How are you going to match your first-round cornerback up against Justin Jefferson?
166 pounds. That sounds like you're talking about Spike Dudley from the WWE.
That's exactly what he is. This guy cannot put on weight. They spoke about this today on the draft show.
I get it.
This guy is that light, and there doesn't seem to be any way they can get weight onto him.
No, because it's his change of direction skills that make him good, and that's why he has led the NCAA in pick sixes. Right, you have to take that into account. The guy is a turnover machine, and you think with Dan Quinn what that would mean when you've got a guy like Trayvon Diggs on the other side, who we know loves to catch the ball when he gets the chance. The size is an issue, but he's a playmaker. And you can get that on. So if I was Dallas, right, me personally, because I'm just going off my board, generic board, I would take Forbes on my team all day, every day over Kincaid. But for Dallas, I wouldn't. Only because I've got Trayvon Diggs on this side who can take the ball away. Do I want a guy who's fairly similar to Trayvon Diggs on the other side? No, I want to have a different type of cornerback.
You don't want to be rolling dice all over the field, is what you're saying.
Exactly. Yeah, I want more of a lockdown. Like, Weatherspoon's over there. Give me that. But if you said to me in a generic sense, in a vacuum, like you did, Kincaid or Forbes, I'm taking Forbes.
So this goes back to the earlier argument we had in the show. Your first round pick is not going to play 50% of the snaps this year. Given you've Trayvon Diggs on one side and Stephon Gilmore on the other, and Deron Bland is your slot.
Yeah.
So you've effectively wasted your first round pick.
Definitely not. You don't think that if you take a cornerback in this year's draft, the experience that he can get from both
the fans are agreeing with me, Mike.
That you're gonna get, because okay, so what's your plan with Trayvon Diggs and Stephon Gilmore beyond this year then? Because at this stage, all you're left with is Deron Bland and whatever you're trying to turn Nation Wright and Kelvin Joseph into. Because apart from Deron Bland, the other two guys aren't providing you with anything apart from special teams.
I will say in this, Mars, like the fact that I will say in the Mars, like, thankfully that CD Lamb's already signed his 5th-year option, so that gives us time to actually relook at leaving room to look at Trayvon Diggs this year. So I'm not particularly worried about it.
But think about this, right? Think about you don't take. Okay, let's say in this particular instance, there's Kincaid and Forbes, and they're the two options, and they don't take Forbes. You're saying you want Trayvon Diggs to sign to an extension, and beyond this year, like we say, okay, so you're trying to get an extension done with him. So now you've got your only cornerback, really, that's going to be able to give you any sort of depth is Deron Bland. You don't think now that Trayvon Diggs knows that going into contract negotiations? Like, what's your plan? There's nobody behind me apart from me. I'm going to be monopolizing this conversation. And if you don't give me what I want, I'm walking, because I'm going to get paid as a cornerback one on the market. I get my money. You have no choice. You go with me and you take what I'm telling you, or I walk, and you're left stuffed with Deron Bland. Good luck with that. You have to take a cornerback so it gives you some angle of leverage when it comes into the contract negotiations. Otherwise, he's dominating the contract. Good luck trying to figure that one out.
I'll take Keely Ringo in the second, and I'll take the guy I told you about at the weekend in the fourth. And then I'll say, best of luck, Mr. Diggs. I'll enjoy that third round compensatory pick I get. You can't let someone dictate to you. We've had it in the past. Yeah. We've allowed Dak to dictate to us. We've allowed Zeke to dictate to us. The Cowboys seem to be getting a little bit more savvy and saying, we'll move on. Look what they did with Dalton Schultz this year. Look what they're going to do with Tony Pollard next year. The Cowboys are using guys as they see fit. They have the availability to tag Trayvon Diggs next year or for 2024 if they want. So they have options there available to them, but they're not going to be dictated to.
Emmanuel Forbes is the 22nd player on my list. You mentioned Keely Ringo. He's 34. So just give you an example. You know, in terms of when Graham was making the conversation, that wasn't the option. So, yeah, I mean, like Ringo could probably, you know, because there's a couple of other cornerbacks you could throw in the mix there that will help fall down into the second round. I doubt he makes it all the way to the Cowboys pick. Because, but there's plenty of other options there, you know. I'm not completely sold on the Cam Smith situation from South Carolina.
Yeah.
I've got him in there. He's in my top 100. He's kind of like a fringe 2-3 type guy.
Yeah.
But I want to put him further down, but it just feels wrong doing it for some reason, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
I understand the whole point about running back, you know, bringing in Robinson and him not playing 75% of snaps, but I think it's slightly different in terms of corner because what are the chances that Diggs, Gilmore, Bland play 17 games? You know, one of them is going to go down eventually, you would think. So there's 3 positions to worry about.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're not going to have Gilmore forever.
He's 1 year. He's a 1 year guy. That's what you got to look at.
Yeah.
He's not. They're not retaining him beyond this year. Well,
DJ Dog got my back. Darius Rush is better than Forbes.
I love Darius Rush.
Darius Rush is the guy we were talking about from this weekend.
Yeah.
You were going on the scenario that I posed, weren't you, mate? You were
basically. Just by the guys that you gave.
Yeah.
If you said to me in terms of value, and we're talking just purely the Cowboys roster, and you know you're thinking of the roster dynamics and the cornerback room, and then the value of the pick that you get in the draft, I'm taking Darius Rush over Emmanuel Forbes. Not in terms of you know where they pick, but just in terms of what I would want. And like I could get with my third round pick, I could get Darius Rush, or do I want my first round pick to be Emmanuel Forbes? I would take the third round pick of Darius Rush.
Yeah.
Although Emmanuel Forbes is better than Darius Rush.
Here's another question for y'all. Is this draft the latest like in forever where you've heard with the Cowboys linked with so many positions? They could go running back, they could go guard, they could go corner, they could go linebacker, wide receiver.
Yeah,
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
this kind of goes back to what I was kind of saying earlier. I couldn't put it into words what I was trying to put out, but you've just kind of explained what I was trying to explain to him. I just feel like the options are endless this year. Like we're not having there's no like a pure desperate need of certain positions. It's like there is needs, but we can get them at a later round type of thing. We've got a lot of moving pieces.
Yeah, you look like with the Leighton Van Der Esch pick, kind of like we knew that was coming. You could see it coming in the wind. It was there. You were like, here we go. Everything was pointing to him to that point.
I suppose what I'm getting at is the Cowboys are ready to start the season tomorrow.
True.
You know, if you were to say, right, who are your 5 guys in O-line? Straight away, you don't think about it. You go Tyron Smith at left tackle, Tyler inside, Biarish at center, Martin at right, and steal it left at right tackle.
They're your best 5.
That's your best 5. You've got your 2 tight ends.
Yeah.
You've potentially got your three linebackers. You've got depth. It's not very deep, but you've got depth at corner. You've got Cooks, Lamb, and Gallup set at wide receiver.
Yeah.
You've got your franchise tag at running back. We're in a good place.
Yeah.
There's a lot of position, like you say, like even if you wanted to switch and say Chuma Odoga plays left guard, for instance, you're okay with that. You go, okay, yeah. If you don't pick up a left guard and that's where you go in, okay, I can buy it. I'll go along with that for now.
Yeah.
You're all right.
They've done well. They've done well plugging gaps and
changing that free agency philosophy. Yeah, it does change a lot in terms of how confident you feel going into the draft.
Yeah. And I'm just going to pull up Joe's question here. Just kind of, it flips back to what we were talking about there with Trayvon Diggs. So obviously, look, we all know we have the 3 big contracts coming up with CD, with Trayvon, and with Micah Parsons. If it's a case, one of the 3 has to go. I mean, I think it's obvious who all of us would pick as the one player we wouldn't bring back.
Yeah.
So
I'm not bringing Diggs back in that instance.
Yeah. So, you know, I get where you were talking about in terms of Forbes being the pick for you, and it gives you the plan. But it also adds to the fact that, you know, the Cowboys can tell Diggs, look, take a hike. It's been good, but, you know, season 2 was all pro, but season 3 was barely Pro Bowl. Do you know?
I don't know. He did fine. I'm just saying in that scenario, that's what you would do. But I don't want to let him walk because cornerbacks are so hard to find. They're really, really difficult. Like in terms of the value of what you can.
Brian.
In terms of like if you wanted to go on how difficult it is to find those types of player, then you could say wide receivers are regularly deep in the draft. I'll find one of them. Cornerbacks are kind of harder to find. So you could turn around and flip it the other way and go, I'm going to let CD Lamb go and I'm going to keep Parsons and Diggs because they're the harder players to find.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Fair point.
But I don't want to do that because I like CD Lamb. I think he's coming on leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
I mean, to go back to the question about who you're letting go, am I trading them or am I letting them walk out the door?
Also, good point.
See if any of those 3 walk out the door, I am pissed off. I mean, I get the whole, you've got a 3rd round compensatory pick. Wow. Yeah. Superb. Who's that going to be? Jalen Tolbert? Do you get what I mean? Like, if you've decided you're not going to extend somebody, pick up the phone and trade them to somebody, because Jones going to the Dolphins took an awful lot of time for me to get over. Yeah. They got a 1st round talent on the open market. I just wish if they're going to make a decision, make it with a year left on his deal. At least get me a 2nd round pick for whoever is leaving. At least.
Yeah. I mean, I think, look, as Mike kind of said when he was making the point, CD is now, they've exercised the 5th year. They have a little bit of breathing room to go to Trayvon Diggs and make the point, right, Trayvon, we want you to be a Cowboy for life. We want you to stay around and get that contract done. If he decides, I don't want to do it, you have the option there for 2024 to tag him. So there are options there. And look, we have tagged players and got deals done.
DeMarcus Lawrence.
Yeah. Dak Prescott.
Dak Prescott, yeah.
You know, so
he's the most obvious standout there, yeah.
We have had issues with it in the past, so it can be done, you know. But
the front office are renowned for dragging their heels a little. See, that's what the apprehension side of it. Yeah,
it's the frustrating side of things.
Like you think about the Dak Prescott contract. If they hadn't tagged him and they did the deal that they were looking to do that year, how different it would look now.
Didn't the Patriots tag Jimmy Garoppolo to get something for him? Everybody knew Garoppolo wasn't going to be a Patriot, but they tagged him so they could get something for him.
I think you're right, actually.
Yeah. I can remember something.
Hold on.
There was something a bit weird like that.
Yeah, let me just double check that. I'm sure I think you're right.
In 2017, the Patriots tagged him and they got a second round pick from San Francisco for a player that was ready to walk out the door.
Yeah. And I mean,
that's good business. Everybody knew they weren't going to keep him. They just wanted something for him.
Yeah. And that's a backup. Like, Trayvon Diggs is starting wherever he goes. So the Cowboys, as I said, have options for 24. Tag him. Yeah, and DJ Dog has said, look, the tag costs you a lot. It does. But if you can bring that guy in, he's starting somewhere, so you can turn around and say, first round pick or no deal. But I think, look, folks, we have a big weekend ahead. We will be here Thursday night at about 11:30 midnight, Mike, is it?
Say about midnight. I can't remember what we scheduled in, what we planned. It's all gone out the window nowadays.
Yeah.
Whatever the plan is.
Yeah, we'll post up on our social media what time we're going live, etc. And I don't know about you guys, but I've got myself a full case of Iron Brew energy to keep me up all night.
I picked up some very lovely San Francisco Bay espresso beans. So my coffee machine will be on full power.
Question is, mate, are you up for having a smoke during the stream?
It depends. So I got, obviously I can't smoke in here. So that won't work. And there's some stuff going on with blogging the boys. I kind of got to dance with too. So bouncing out back and forth on that. More specifically, when the pick happens, I might sneak in a cheeky cigar. I think I'll try and sneak one in.
What I want is you to come back from blogging the boys just after we've picked Michael Mayer as a Cowboy, right? And you jump on screen and you just go and then leave again.
Yeah. Just a cloud. I've always said that what was funny is Dane Brugler's final mock draft where he put Cowboys taking Michael Mayer. 2 days before we did a mock draft on Blogging the Boys and I took Michael Mayer. And I was like, see, he's just copying me. He's just following what I do. He knows.
Just Graham, what you could actually add as well, just go on stream, like, just puff this one, go smoking, then go off.
It should, but we got loads of guests coming on. In fact, talking to cigars, I was just talking to Tom Ryle. He's joining us day 3. Tony Catalina day 2. A load of other guys. Cowboys Cam Fan are joining us day 2. Got some guys on day 1. Professor O is in. Jay Tuck's in. There's so many.
Just to confirm with Labarska, yes, it'll be 6 p.m. Texas time when we're going live. Then
it's not 24 hours.
Thank God.
Have we not? Has no one told Graham yet?
Do you know what's funny is people have asked me. They're like, "Are you doing 20?" And like, not this time again.
I think we're famous for that.
I've had to say that same thing over and over every time I'm talking to the Cowboys media team. No, we are not doing 24 hours. Why not? Yeah. It nearly killed us.
That's why I have no hairline.
Right. So Thursday, I put it here. Midnight we start.
Yeah.
Day 2, we start at 10 to midnight. So that's 10 minutes before day 2 starts.
Yeah.
Day 3, we start at 5 p.m. UK time. So in terms of central time, that's 6 p.m., 5:50, and 11 o'clock in the morning.
11 a.m.
Yeah.
Happy days.
And that's everything. Loads of guests coming in. We'll do some stuff as well. Some usual stuff that we played, our little games and what have you.
Draft game shows. You
Yeah,
have them all lined up.
In-show games. We'll stick some stuff together. Next year, though, is going to be even bigger again. So many plans for this time next year. Unbelievable.
Joe has said he will watch until the Dallas pick is made, and then he's going to bed.
I don't blame you.
Sleep is for the week. Sleep is for the week.
I hope for your sake they don't trade back out of the first round, Joe.
Or trade back into it.
Yeah, imagine. Can you imagine this show though? And I'm, by the way, for Blogging the Boys, I'm on trade analysis as well. I'm giving myself way too much to do, but can you imagine you get all the way to pick 26 and then they go, the Dallas Cowboys have made a trade, and you find out it's for like a team, some pick in the second round. You're like, oh my God, we literally did all this for nothing.
How ironic would it be if I made that idea of trading back to the Houston Texans in the second round?
And then it happened. You think about it, like if you put it into reality, what that would mean, that basically we just sat through like going from midnight to like, what's that, like 4 o'clock in the morning to see them not make a pick.
Sometimes I might call myself Mystic Stew.
But you think though, like if that were to happen, we would finish Thursday night. The Eagles would have 2 first round draft picks, and we wouldn't. We'd have none. So that's an even bigger step.
Me and Brian will put together the guest lists for each day because there's a few going on and we need to collaborate and put the guest list together. So we'll do that tomorrow, and I'll finish putting the packages together to do on that. Plus the stuff for Blogging the Boys.
Yeah. So the key thing is, folks, keep an eye on our socials, all the platforms across Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Bebo, MySpace. Get on them all. Make sure you have access. We will update everywhere and let you know what time we're going live at. But the plan, as of right now, is we will be live 12 o'clock here in the UK and Ireland.
What did you just say there?
Did
you say MySpace and Bebo?
MySpace and Bebo. What? They are platforms, Paul. People still use them.
What? Stop it! What?
Right, mate, that's getting annoying now.
So should we get out of here?
Let's absolutely get out of here. Gentlemen, it is a good night from me. I'll pass you over to the rest.
Dallas forever, Philly forever. Let's go.
Draft time.
Dear Jerry, all I want at 26 is a lineman.
What Griff said.
Bijan, pick 26.